Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready?
What do it do, YouTube? We back with another video, back with another banger for y'all. And before we start this video, I just want to apologize to everybody. On Monday, I attempted to go live and do a watch along of Raw with my Retro Raw Down co-host. The problem was I was very sick on Monday, and actually when I ended the stream as abruptly as I did. Uh, later that night, my voice got even worse. Um, so I'm feeling a lot better today. Still coughing, still whatever, but not as sick as I was on Monday. And I'm here with my good friend, Mr. Frank Hudson. What's up, buddy? How are you doing?
Yeah, what's up? Just give me a second. I forgot to turn my other phone on. I was gonna say I forgot to tell you too. There's a lot of segments on this pay-per-view, so
I'm
I'm
gonna let you
going
carry the
to
segments. I'm gonna let you handle all the segments.
yeah. I gotta look through a website that reviewed the show so I know match by match, segment by segment. So we got everything in order. So I'm just pulling up. Shout out to TJR too. I think I know who that is.
John
Yeah, John Kent. John
Kent.
Kent. Shout out John Kent. And I'm on his site for his review right now. Not gonna tell you what he said. I'm just you. If you want to see what he said, just hit him up. TJRWrestling.com.
Facts.
Uh,
Good
Survivor
choice.
Series '01 review. I'm just using this so I can know where to go. Segment, match by match, segment by segment.
Well, while you're doing that, why don't you go ahead and promote the show to all of our friends? We got two people watching already.
Oh,
Holy!
I already did. I
Oh,
hit
we
the
got
link.
Wes here.
I hit the
Nice
links
cap.
already.
Thank you, Wes. Are you talking about me or Frank's cap? I mean, this is a headband, not really a hat, uh, but hey, while you're promoting the show, I'm gonna say this.
I already promoted the show.
Beautiful, beautiful, my man.
I put the
Uh,
links out. But yeah, go ahead. Say what you got to say, cause let me
what I
just.
gotta say, Pepsi, sponsor your favorite YouTube channel right here, baby. You know we're here. You know we're here. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we're here, Frank and I, to review Survivor Series 2001, the stocking cap. I don't know what you're talking about, Wes.
He talking
Stock-
about you.
oh,
Stocking cap. That's got to be you.
yeah. This is my John Cena headband right here, dog. Mag Life, my brother. What's good, bro? Glad to see you
What's up,
here.
Mag Life?
Yeah, what's good, buddy? Hey, we're here today to review Survivor Series 2001. So if you've been following the Retro Bros podcast for the past couple of weeks, you'll know that we've been reviewing a lot of the invasion angle, and as a matter of fact, we reviewed the invasion pay per view. I say we. I reviewed the invasion pay per view. We reviewed Survivors. I'm sorry, SummerSlam 2001, and now we're here to close out this little segment, this little series with
I mean,
Survivors.
there are plenty other shows from the invasion angle that we will cover. We still haven't gotten to Unforgiven 01. There's Raw and SmackDowns that we'll cover in the future.
Sure.
But this was essentially our invasion couple of episodes. Like you would say, invasion week. We didn't do this exactly in a week, but I guess that's what you can call it.
Right. Mag
Mm.
Life chilling, guys. I'll be commenting sometime. I appreciate you, Mag Life. Yeah. So we're here to cover Survivor Series 2001. In my opinion, one of the best Survivor Series of all time. I don't know if you agree with that, Frank, or not, but I think it's
I I thought it was a great show. I don't know if I'd put it up there as one of the best. I don't think I'd put it with like 2002. The very next year was,
awesome.
oh man, that's on another level, man. That
And,
show was on another level.
and earlier this week, I went live with my friend Ron. Maybe it was, oh no, I'm sorry, I went live with my friend Michael, and we discussed the Montreal screw job. And if we discussed a lot about Bret Hart, and Frank, I'm going to get your opinions on this, but the subject has come up lately in the news of Bret Hart still being bitter and blaming Goldberg for ending his career. And before you say anything, I got to tell. I don't know if you watched that show or not, Frank.
The one you guys did, I did. I
Okay,
watched it on the StreamYard after
okay,
y'all did it.
yeah. And I think it's interesting. I still think that it's interesting that Brett wants to blame Goldberg for ending his career, but if you go back and look at the stats of and look at the match listings for Brett, he wrestled like several times after that. I want to say close to 20 times after that. And one of those
Yeah.
matches was, as Michael said, a hardcore match against Terry Funk, in which he took several chair shots to the head. So I don't really want to say it was all Goldberg's fault when he did that to himself. But and I think it's kind of silly that Bret Hart wants to blame Goldberg for that. Frank, what do you think? Do you think Goldberg did it?
Well, I'm a fan of both them, and I really don't understand why Bret Hart, as post career, been such a you know
Right.
annoying, mad at everybody guy. But the way I see it, I can definitely see that kick probably played a role in it.
Yeah, I mean,
Was it?
it
Was
played
it
a
the?
role, sure, but it
I
wasn't
don't
the
think.
whole thing.
Yeah. I don't think that just because he actually wrestled a couple matches after that, I don't think that means that it wasn't the reason he got hurt. I mean, we didn't know what we knew back then about concussions. If this was say today, Bret Hart would not have wrestled most of those matches. He probably would have missed out some time. But I can see how the Goldberg injury could have done it. uh, I don't know what the I've probably seen the match, but I don't know what match you guys were referring to. The Terry Funk match where he took a bunch of chair shots. Um, but
That was
yeah,
actually sort of like Thunder, I believe.
okay, Thunder. Well, I definitely saw it then, but yeah, I don't have that much memories of Thunder, and I just binged watched it like a couple years ago. The last year of Thunder was fun, but for the most part, Thunder wasn't necessarily a great show. Just my opinion.
It wasn't what SmackDown would become. That's for sure.
No, no. SmackDown, the early years of SmackDown blow Thunder out of the water.
Right. Yeah. Uh, well, before we begin the Survivor Series 2001 review, if you're a fan of the Retro Bros podcast, and if you're new here, do us a favor. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification bell so you get notified when we upload new content. We upload new content weekly. Hey guys, guess what? We're three away from 100 subscribers. Damn, that's a lot of people watching us. Thank you to everybody that watches us, that supports us. We appreciate you all and we love you all very much. So help make this a happy holiday for the both of us and share the channel with all of your friends. Help all of your friends become bros with the Retro Bros. And with that
And
being
I
said, hey,
I said it. Hold on. I said it on the short. That really wasn't a short. It was supposed to be a short, but
yeah,
YouTube took all that time. YouTube didn't freaking upload it, so I had to shoot it on my phone. But anyway, I said it on that. If you've missed some episodes, we got a playlist down on the
we
channel.
do.
Go to our playlist, look for Retro Bros reviews, full episodes, and pull up that. Check to see if you've seen maybe missed a few episodes or not. Maybe you want to rewatch an episode you've seen before. If you want to do that,
Yeah,
go right ahead.
I need these
There's a
reactions. And I became a WWE fan in 2013. So I've caught some of earlier WWE, but I still need to catch up. Mag Live, yeah. Reviews, I mean, yeah. Reviews. That's what these are. They're reviews mostly, yeah. But we
right.
actually introduced some reactions to like breaking news and stuff like that. Like we reacted to Bret Hart blaming Goldberg for the kick. Um, so that being said, uh, we are here at Survivor Series 2001, which took place at Greensboro, North Carolina, at the Greensboro Coliseum Complex. 10,142 people were in attendance with a buy rate of $450,000. And the tagline
And
was winner take all.
yeah,
And that
I'm
is
gonna
certainly a fitting tagline. Go ahead, Frank.
I'm gonna lead here since there's a lot of segments. Uh, so we open the show with a European title match. This was actually a surprisingly good, pretty decent opener here between Al Snow and Christian.
Yeah.
Um,
Wait, what?
Al Snow, nothing against him, but you don't necessarily think that he'll, give a pretty decent match on a show. But he did out here with Christian. They kicked off the show. He came out. Al Snow actually came out to Maven's theme because back at this point,
It was
Maven hasn't debuted yet,
right.
and
It was
it's
like
the
a tough
Tough
enough.
Enough theme.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Tough Enough theme.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you hear that, every time I hear that song, I immediately think Maven. I don't think Tough Enough. So it's funny to hear that. Um, so yeah, that was a decent match. What do you think about this match?
You know, I thought this was a great match. It's very rare that you saw Al Snow in a mid card title match, really, or any
Mhm.
title match. I mean, I think Al Snow, I only really associate him with the Hardcore Championship. He never really tried to go for the Intercontinental
Yeah.
title or the World Championship or the European Championship. So here, I thought he did a really good job
Mhm.
against Christian. He was a solid worker, and it was a solid match.
Yeah. What I love about we go to a couple of segments here. This is what I love that this show had so many segments, so many backstage segments, and not just one guy holding the mic. Hey, what do you think's going to happen in your match tonight?
No, no, yeah,
actual segments, not interview stuff. But
yeah,
here's the first segment we saw. Austin comes into the locker room area for the alliance, and it essentially just shows that there's a lot of dissension in the ranks.
right.
And then we show Vince
It
and
was a torn up,
Linda.
and
Yeah,
they didn't know who it was.
right. And then yes, I love that. We'll get to that towards the end of the when we get to the main event. I loved all that too. Then you got Vince and Linda backstage. Vince talking about the high stakes that are on the line. Essentially telling Mike. He actually gets interviewed by Michael Cole later, but he's with Linda, and he's telling Linda, we better be ready for this tonight. Blah blah blah, all that. And then Michael Cole interviews them, and at one point, Mr. McMahon tells Michael Cole, this could be the end for you. You could be out of a job after this show. And you see Michael Cole get a little worried. That was a decent little couple of segments there,
Yeah.
building up to the main event.
Question
Up next,
before we
yeah,
continue with you, I got a question.
yeah.
You didn't watch the show live, but if you had watched the show live when it aired, do you think you would have thought there's a possibility that WWE could be out of business after tonight?
Um,
Or did you always kind of, or would you have been like,
I'll
no,
say this. I'll say this. I was about 9 years old when this show happened. So yeah, 9 years old. But if this was me today, 30 years old, I would probably know, oh yeah, well, we know the alliance isn't gonna take over. Vince isn't just gonna be like, hey, you guys take the reins. But when I was 9 years old, and I don't necessarily know if this is real or not, yeah, I would have thought, okay, maybe the alliance might win here. But
right?
I'll say this. I could see maybe an angle where the Alliance wins and for a couple of weeks they run the show,
Yeah,
but Vince comes back. He's like, we're stronger now. We're going to take over. And then maybe at WrestleMania 18, they get like the rematch and WWE, of course, takes their show back, their
yeah,
company back, I should say.
yeah. What
But
was the
they, what happened?
what was the next match or segment?
Next match was William Regal versus Tajiri.
Okay,
Not much of a match here. It was a bit short. There were a couple of matches on this card that were fairly short. There's
I
one
took
more.
a look in this match where wasn't there a SmackDown where William Regal attacked Tori Wilson?
Yes, yes.
That
And
was
You see Tori at the end of the match because Regal wins it. Tori comes from the crowd, slides in the ring, and checks on Tajiri,
yeah,
But of course, she did that once William Regal was gone. But yeah,
yeah.
William Regal did attack Tori, the jerk that he is.
And this was a match
Leading up
where
to
I believe this was a match where an Alliance member was the baby face and the WWF member was the heel, right?
No, Regal's the Alliance.
Regal,
Tajiri's WWE.
okay, my bad.
Yeah,
Regal
yeah,
defected, and Tajiri was the baby face. Okay, yeah.
yes,
I know
yes.
Tajiri was a baby face for sure. I do remember that. Because he
Yeah,
had a story in
Tajiri was a babyface.
yeah.
Until 2002. Shortly after that, in 2002,
He turned.
when he started dressing up Tori Wilson in geisha outfits so nobody can see her and stuff like that. So the crowd turned
Yeah.
on Tajiri.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
It's at my front door, folks. Let's see.
So it's funny. I was watching this show on the DVD, as I actually forgot to show. Here is the DVD right here. But at some point, I hit up the network because I might leave my room, but I don't want to pause because I'm doing the review almost like right after this, so I don't want to waste time. So I leave my room, I turn the Peacock on my phone, and there's actually a video package right after. I think no, actually it's a little later. My bad. I'm gonna talk about that later.
By the way,
So-
folks, I know it's winter. I know it's becoming a winter time and everything. So I got this warning on my Ring app. It says freezing weather can affect your device's battery life. This is expected. Your device will return to normal when the weather warms. You may need to charge more often. Click for more info. Let's see here. What else is this? Oh, yeah. Oh, like the Ring device. Oh, not your phone, the Ring thing. Okay. We have
I
the
don't
Ring.
have the
Huh?
Yeah, I don't have that Ring device.
Yeah, we have the Ring app, so we could see who's at our front door, who's trying to come in, who's trying to leave, all that good stuff.
Who's trying to steal your Ring doorbell?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
I swear, a couple of years ago there was this commercial on the radio where they're like promoting the Ring bell, and they're like telling stories about people who have done stuff on the Ring doorbell key or the video. They're like, one time a guy was on video trying to steal the doorbell key and or the whatever they call it, and that just had me cracking up. He was caught on the doorbell thing trying to steal the doorbell thing. Like,
You
get
see some,
this.
I'll tell you, man, you see some wacky stuff. Excuse me. You see some wacky stuff on the Ring app, bro. Like, I don't know if
Yeah,
you watch Ridiculousness or whatever, but there are like video clips out there of people like getting on the Ring app and they're looking straight into the ring, like into the doorbell, and
yeah,
like one dude who's bringing home this drunk chick, and
yeah.
I think he was like her boyfriend or something like that. Rings the doorbell. He goes, "Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Smith." I don't know if that was her name or not. "Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. This is I got Anna here. She got a little too drunk at Amanda's house, and now we're here. And I brought her home. I'm sober. I just wanted to make sure she got home safe. Da da da, and just stuff like that, you know. Or
Yeah,
or you
yeah.
catch or you catch porch pirates. Which do you know what a porch pirate is?
Oh
It's
yeah,
like
oh yeah. I've seen plenty. I've seen plenty of those videos on YouTube.
people try to
Dudes
steal
trying to steal packages.
your Amazon
Yeah,
package or
yeah.
whatever, your mail. Like, come on, people.
As
Like,
somebody, as somebody who buys from eBay a lot, I hate those dudes, man. They better never try to come to my house. But we don't have the doorbell. That's the problem. If we ever get a porch pirate, we might lose something because
right.
these dudes, we don't have that camera.
Well, and the other thing is like you can like with the Ring app, you can also like warn people of, hey, there's a guy around that's walking around here that may not be around, that may not live around here.
Yeah.
Mysterious. I know. So you want to hear a little funny story, folks? So last summer, 2021, I, being stupid at the time,
Hold on. While you tell that story, I'm gonna be right back.
okay, I would. Sorry, I got an itch here. Okay, there you go. I would go from neighbor to neighbor and ask for money, and your boy may have appeared on the Ring app once or twice. I mean, It worked a few times. I did get money a few times. I'm not gonna lie. It did work. I would just go up to a neighbor. Hey, do you have $20 I could borrow so I can buy some pizza? Oh yeah, here you go. Thank you. And yeah, I appeared on the ring out once or twice. Uh, it is what it is. Um, Once again, hey Pepsi, do us a favor, man. Sponsor your favorite YouTube channel, the Retro Roast Podcast. You know we're your favorites. Hey, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification button. Do all of that good stuff. We're going live. We go live with our reviews. We don't really pre-tape our reviews. We just go live. We're off the cuff here, man. I mean, everything we're talking about. I mean, that's off the brain. That's off the top of the dome. Um, hey, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but oh, Frank is here. Frank is back. Hey, oh, hey, Frank. Before we get back into the review, I wanted to mention something, and I want to get kind of your opinion on it, if you have one. Do you know about that female basketball player, Brittany Griner?
Yeah, I don't really have opinions on that though.
No.
Yeah.
Well, so check this out. I make sure I get the facts right here. Where is it? No, it's here. Stay.
It's your favorite YouTube.
Hold on a sec. So Brittany Griner has been recently sent to a
I heard about it.
penal colony. Russian penal colony. But based on what this guy, Dwayne TV, was saying, shout out to Dwayne TV, he's come up on our channel once or twice. That doesn't sound like a very safe place to be. You know, that sounds kind of scary. And you know, look, Brittany was stupid for taking drugs with her to Russia or wherever it was. I think it was Russia, right? Russia, Vladimir.
Yeah.
That was stupid. You know, you should know better than to bring weed with you. Don't bring weed with you on an airplane. You know what I mean? Just don't bring it on an airplane, period. Don't bring it with you. Leave it at home.
Yeah.
But she didn't. She brought it with her, and she was sentenced to 10 years. And 10 years in Russia, away from her family, away from her friends, away from everything she knows. And, 10 years is a bit extreme for weed. But at the same time, hey, if you don't want to if you want to get punished for doing stupid shit, here's an idea. Don't do stupid shit. You know what I mean? Like, folks, when I was telling you a few seconds ago about me going neighbor to neighbor and asking for money for pizza, booze, I got punished for that. I had to pay them back, but I had it coming. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Look, moral of the story here, folks. Don't be stupid. Use your brain. Common sense, folks. Common sense. Common sense, unfortunately, is not that common anymore, and that's sad. That being said, let's get back in the Survivor Series.
Yeah, so next we got Tess looking in a mirror, and Stacy Keibler shows up, and essentially
I'll be right back, bud.
Yeah, so Stacy shows up while Tess is looking in the mirror, essentially wishes him good luck on his upcoming match, which is against Edge in a unification match. Stacy essentially, gives Tess a little touch, and then Tess says, "Yeah, she wants me," which good for you, Tess. Good for you. And speaking of Tess, may he rest in peace. Then Edge is interviewed by Jonathan Coachman, and Edge notes that Tess has been dumped by every chick on the planet. Very funny little interview there from Edge. So now I have the unification match. It's Intercontinental title versus United States title. Tess is the Intercontinental champion. Edge is the United States champion. And if you had a title at this point, you could not be fired, and that was very important at this situation because you could be the alliance, and maybe the WWE wins. Maybe they want to fire you because you're on the alliance. Maybe you're WWE. Maybe the alliance wins. Maybe they fire you. So there is that. So that's why these unification matches were pretty important storyline wise, because you don't want to be fired. You don't want to be out of a job. So for this, and there is of course a battle royal coming up where the winner of said battle royal can't be fired as well for up to a year. Get to that soon. But this was a really good match here. Test and Edge,
Yeah.
probably one of the best matches of Test's career. Not I do. Test was in some good stuff. He was in the storyline with Scott Steiner in 2003, involving Stacy Keibler. That was a phenomenal, underrated storyline
He
that
was
we
also-
covered back. What was that?
I was going to say he was also in the storyline with Stephanie and Triple H.
That one too. Yes, that's the best storyline of his career.
Facts.
No doubt about that.
True.
Yeah. We covered the Scott Steiner storyline when we did our Unforgiven 03 review, which sadly nobody watched that review. Not that many people watched that review. It did better than the 9/11 SmackDown, which literally nobody watched that. But
Maybe just
what's
enough. I don't know.
What's your thoughts on this unification match?
I think unification matches done sparingly, are great. Like right here, like in this pay-per-view, the unification matches, they meant something because WCW was before.
Yeah.
And if you're going to do a unification match, make it mean something. You know what I mean? Like
I was just talking about that too. Sorry to interrupt you. Like I said, these matches were important storyline wise.
Yes.
Because you could be on the Alliance and WWE wins, or you're on the WWE and the Alliance wins. Well, if your company doesn't win, the other company might want to fire you. And that's why these title matches were extremely important on this show, storyline wise, because they were saying if you win these title matches and you got the belt, you can't be fired. Which, granted, I don't know. There's ways around that. They could be stripped and fired, but that's what they were going for on this show. They made these title matches and the unification title matches seem very important.
Right.
Yeah.
Promoting our show a little bit more. My bad.
Yeah.
Go ahead on to the next thing.
All right. Let me see here. Stephanie McMahon in the locker room. She said if they lose, she'll become a regular person. She complained about having to do regular things, which of course that's Stephanie. Stephanie being the $1 million princess, she's not ready for a regular life. So that was a pretty cool segment right there. Then we have Jeff and Lita backstage. Jeff Hardy, this was only a couple months after the 9/11. Jeff Hardy has the NYPD 9/11/2001 armband on his arm. That was pretty cool. So Lita, essentially in this segment, Lita was torn. She's got this cage match coming up next, but also she's got her match coming up later. And so she wishes Matt and Jeff good luck. She realizes she can't be there because she's got to get ready for her match.
It was hot here. It was hot.
Yeah. And then she goes into the girls' locker room and is immediately, as she opens the door, Trish Stratus walks through. And Trish is like, good luck on the match tonight. Can't wait. She walks away and you see that look on Lita's face where it's like, I wish I could be there for Matt and Jeff, but I got that match that Trish was just referring to coming up. The true reason why Lita wasn't there for that cage match is because, look, she didn't want to get that work from Stacy Keibler. Let's be honest. Stacy would have whooped that ass. And she knows it. Lita knows it, that is.
Stacy would have taken those long legs of hers and choked Lita out.
That now it makes no sense that Lita wouldn't be there. Why wouldn't you want to go do it? Why wouldn't you want to get choked out by those amazing legs?
Well, hey, Stacy, if you're watching this, girl, You ever want to choke somebody out? I'm here. Then we'll come, or come see me. She's not going to watch the show, but
No, sadly, no.
facts.
But yeah, of course, Lita didn't want that work from Stacy Keibler, so she hid backstage. Um, but anyway, so next up, tag team title unification, another unification title match. This is
This was a steel cage. This was,
yeah,
and there were tables
steel
involved in
cage,
this one too, right?
right? Because Stacy Keibler used her assets, her amazing assets, to get the key for the steel cage from Nick Patrick.
Yeah.
And after that, she slid a table in, and that actually involves the finish, which I loved the way they did the finish here. But we'll get to that in a minute. The one thing, and when everybody thinks of these tag teams, the Hardys, the Dudleys, Edge, and Christian, they always think of the 3-team ladder matches that they had. Let me tell you something. As great as those were, when it was just one team versus one team, these guys, these tag teams had some really good bangers of
Yeah,
matches
good as the triple threat tag teams. Yeah.
that get overshadowed by those triple threat tag team ladder matches, and this is one of them. This steel cage was phenomenal, and like I said, the ending. So Matt Hardy's climbed over. He's out. So all Jeff's got to do is climb.
And I never understood that. Why would you leave the cage, leave your partner in there by himself, especially if it's
because because now all he's got to do is climb out, and that'll be it. But see, and there's one thing I actually want to mention. I'm glad you mentioned the climbing too, because as much as I love Impact Wrestling during the weekly pay-per-view era, the NWA TNA era, I hate whenever they did a cage match, like, oh, there's no, you climb out, the best climber wins, blah blah blah. They essentially shit on the climbing aspect. You want to see why the climbing aspect was so entertaining? Look at the part in this match where I think it was Jeff sort of like leapfrogged over one of the Dudleys. The Dudleys tossed him, and the Hardy landed on the cage. And once he landed on the cage, everybody knew, oh, this might be it. And they're getting hyped. The fans are getting hyped. Yes, climb, climb, climb. That is why the climbing is so good. It adds drama.
Yeah.
It adds drama, and you can hear the crowd get so excited when somebody's about to leave that cage. But what I love about the ending here is they played on Jeff Hardy's daredevil style here, and that it cost him the match because all he had to do was climb out. He had just taken out the Dudleys. Devon, it's almost like Devon was smart, and I think this is what they were going for because it seems like it. Devon knew, you know what? Jeff Hardy's a daredevil. Let me crawl onto this table right here, give Jeff Hardy an idea to do something. So Jeff Hardy's climbing out. He gets to the top, and as he's on top, he sees, wait a minute, Devon's laying on the table. The table is legitimately right under me to where if I swanton, I'll land right on him through the table. So Jeff Hardy goes for the swanton.
Hey, once again, common sense ain't that common.
Well, when you're a daredevil, I guess it's not. But Jeff Hardy goes for the swanton. Devon immediately moves out of the way, which just shows you Devon was using his head there. He wasn't hurt. He probably was hurt because he had just been beat up by Jeff Hardy, but he wasn't hurt to the fact that he couldn't move. He knew what he was doing when he got on that table. He was using his common sense. And so he moves out of the way. Jeff Hardy lands through the table, gets pinned by, I believe, Bubba Ray. 1, 2, 3, that's the match. A phenomenal ending, a great match overall. And we got to see Stacy Keibler show her assets. That's always 5 stars.
Yeah, no, that match was great. Great storytelling, like you said, especially with the climbing of the cage. You talked about the TNA cage match stuff. And you said how the climbing aspect is important. They mocked it in those cage matches, but in those Ultimate X matches, I mean, the climbing was a central thing. I mean, I personally, I love those Ultimate X matches. Those things were fun. It was
some of them were really good.
Win a ladder match. Win a ladder match. It was climb up the side, climb the edge, and then go across the X.
And what was, speaking of ladder matches, what was one of the best viewed by many fans, and Impact would tell you that a lot during their weekly pay-per-view days. One of the best, one of the most popular matches of those weekly pay-per-viewers. It was a three-way ladder match between Low Key, AJ Styles, and I believe Daniels. I could be
Was it a
wrong.
ladder match or was it Ultimate X?
No, it was a normal ladder match. It was actually Jerry Lynn, not Daniels. It was Jerry Lynn. So this was like probably the fifth weekly pay-per-view. It was like August of 02. And it was a ladder match. So the best climber of that match won. And the fans sure loved it.
Yeah,
he climbed that ladder and
I go back and I watch some of those weekly pay-per-views. Those things were actually really good. They were like very. They were.
There's a lot of great storylines in that.
They had a very young Mickey James. I mean,
yeah, Alexis Lurie at the time.
Yeah. I mean, she was great in TNA. I liked her.
Yeah,
I like Mickey James. Mickey and Trish are my probably top two favorite women wrestlers.
Yeah.
Honestly,
shout out to the writer. Shout out to the writer who wrote those shows, man. Vince Russo.
Well, and shout out to Mickey and Trish for being so damn good at doing what they.
Trish wasn't in it in Impact.
I'm not talking about just TNA. I'm just talking about in general.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
no doubt.
TNA, I'll tell you, my favorite TNA knockouts were Gail Kim, Awesome Kong. I love those two. Those two had a great feud. I thought. I mean, that was nice. And also,
do you know who my favorite?
Go ahead. I was going to say.
Sorry to interrupt. Do you know who my favorite knockouts are?
Christy Hemme, Velvet Sky.
Nope. Okay, you got one.
Angelina Love.
You got two.
Madison Rayne.
There you go. The beautiful people. Tremendous characters.
Hey,
tremendous characters.
If you like Madison Rayne, bro, you should look up some of her stuff as Ashley Lane.
I have way back when, a long time ago.
She was in Shimmer. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I'm a long time ago. Like aficionado, pretty much. I mean, not to brag. Anyway, next match.
Yeah. So we see Commissioner Foley in WWF New York. I think I missed this segment. Hang on a minute. Ross asked Foley.
I almost forgot what I was going to say. Sorry to interrupt. I was going to say, I said Jessica Havoc is one of my favorite TNA knockouts. I don't like this version of her, the one that she has now. I liked her better when she first debuted in TNA. She was like that killer monster beast, and nowadays she's kind of just she's not a killer monster beast. She's kind of, don't anger her, but she's friendly. Just don't anger her. But I liked her when she was like nobody could stop her. So
okay, anyway. So I think I might have seen this when I was watching earlier. But anyway, the focus is Mick Foley is at WWF New York. He's being interviewed by JR. He tells JR being the commissioner sucked, which I totally disagree with. Foley as a commissioner was some of the best stuff from 2000. And he said he'll be in Charlotte for Raw the next day. He's got some choice words for Vince, which kind of gives away the end of the show, doesn't it? If you got choice words for Vince, then how is Vince going to be at Raw if the Alliance wins?
Well, maybe to say goodbye. Maybe to say goodbye.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, Stephanie and Paul Heyman and Shane were at Raw, so there is that. But that made for a great the what he's referring to. He's got some choice words for Vince. That was a great little mini segment to be kick off Raw the night after, where Foley just
come on. If Vince were to lose at Survivor Series 01, do you really think he would have bowed out gracefully? Hell no, he'd been in every single show after that saying, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be here. Like I don't know if you've ever seen that show, Everybody Hates Chris, but there was an episode where this gang member Malvo is trying to go after Chris for a chain, and Chris's dad catches wind of this Malvo dude, and the guy goes, and Malvo's like, who are you supposed to be? And he goes, I'm his dad. And he goes, oh, I'm supposed to be scared because you brought your daddy, huh? And he goes, no, you're supposed to be scared because if you ever put your hands on my son again, you're not going to go to jail. I'm going to go to jail. And then he goes, when you're sleeping at night, I'm going to be there. When you're taking a bath, I'm going to be there. When you're eating dinner, I'm going to be there. When you're watching TV, I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
So like Vince, that'd be Vince. Like every single show, I'm gonna be there.
That'd be Mr. McMahon, because that we're talking about the character. But yeah,
Mr. McMahon. Okay,
yeah.
Mr. McMahon, I'm gonna be there.
So now we see a backstage segment where Scotty 2. Oh, and as I mentioned earlier, there was going to be a battle royal where the winner can't get fired for a whole year. That's what we're up to now. The immunity battle royal.
Yeah.
So we see before that begins, we see Scotty 2 Hotty is running backstage, getting ready for the immunity battle royal until he's interrupted by the man who lost the first unification title matches.
Yes.
Test asked Scotty 2 Hotty, hey, you in this immunity battle royal coming up? Scotty 2 Hotty says, yeah. It's like, not anymore, you aren't. Boom! Beats the hell out of Scotty. Takes his spot.
That was hilarious.
And that is
you in this match? Yep. Nope. Try again.
It's kind of funny too because Test how do you say it? When you do something and then it kind of comes back to bite you. Karma. Test got a little taste of karma about 3 years later at the 04 Royal Rumble where his music hits. He's coming out to be the entrant. Nothing happens. His music hits again. Nothing happens. Then they cut backstage. You see Test laid out. And Stone Cold's like, you just destroyed my number, whatever it was, entrant. Now you're in the Rumble. Go! It turns out that was Mick Foley. But yeah, that essentially 3 years later, the same thing that Test does to get into this battle royal happens to him getting Mick Foley into the Royal Rumble.
Hey, real quick on the subject of Mick Foley, he told a story today, on his latest podcast about this female wrestler. And I'm gonna see if I can remember her name. Hold on a second here. Go ahead real quick. Talk about the next thing, and I'll catch up.
So now we got the immunity battle royal up here. They show a lot of the guys coming through into the ring, getting ready for the match, and then Taz comes out, which scares the living hell out of Paul Heyman. He's like, "Why is he here? He can't be here." And because he had just turned his back on the alliance, so Paul Heyman is pissed at him.
Yeah.
So everybody gets into this.
I got that name. I got the name of that thing I wanted to talk about.
Right.
So there was this female wrestler, and her name was Vicky Lyons. Have you ever heard of her?
You mean not Nikita Lyons, right?
No, Vicky Lyons. It was Vicky.
I never heard of her. Never heard of her.
Her story is tragic as shit. It is horrifically sad. So when she was like a baby, maybe 4 years old, she got ran over by a car.
Oh shit!
She got ran over by a car, left for dead, right? And doctors said she shouldn't live. Blah blah blah. Well, she lived, and she became a pro wrestler.
Nice.
So hang on. When I say that doctors say she shouldn't have lived, she shouldn't have been able to walk. She shouldn't have been able to move. She should have been basically a vegetable from this horrific accident. Like that's how bad it was, right?
Yeah.
And she had a match against Daphne back in 2011. I want to say, no, maybe before 2011. She had a match against Daphne, and she won. And that wound up being her one and only match. Because she got a whiff of the lights, and she was like, you know what? I don't want to do this again. I'm good. I got to do this. I can't do it again. I just can't put myself through it again. And because think about that, you're not supposed to be able to walk, and yet you're going to get into a ring and wrestle. Like that's
Right.
crazy, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
she wound up dying in 2011.
Oh, yeah.
She had a hang on a second. Let me see. Let me find the cause of let me find out how she died. I know the cause of her death was like are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay. I know the cause of her death was like uh it was the cause of her death was because of the crash or the getting run over, but hang on a second. Getting run over, that's her death.
I was just checking. I went through the live for a minute because I wanted to see if the intro played. Because when you played the intro, I didn't see it. But yeah, the
Oh,
intro played. It looks great.
yeah. How did she die? Hang on. It says how she died. I know that. Uh she uh
Bro, nobody gave a
died
shit
on
about.
where is the cause of the death? Uh
Nobody gave a shit about my short. You're the only one who viewed it. It's been an hour.
uh she got ran over when she was 5 years old,
Okay.
and she uh I can't remember what it was like. I guess it was from a thing called micro or myocarditis, which is an inflammation of
Okay.
the heart. I don't know
Oh,
if
okay.
it's correct, though. Hang on a minute. Okay, hang on a minute. Okay, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute, folks. Bear with me here. This is live. Uh okay. She it was possible, so accounts vary as to the cause of death for her.
Yeah.
It was possibly an aneurysm, which took
Oh, okay.
place either in her apartment or hotel room. And
Oh,
there was no
damn.
foul play. So yeah. So but yeah, that was just Mick Foley was just talking about that story, and we mentioned Mick, and I thought I'd bring that up. But yeah,
Yeah.
right over at 5 years old, dude.
That's
My
crazy.
oldest nephew is 5 years old. I mean, that's
Yeah.
insane. I mean,
So
next match or
yeah. As we get into the immunity battle royal, Sean Stasiak is eliminated literally 5 seconds in as the bell rings. Like they throw out Sean Stasiak.
ding
At
ding
one
ding.
point, yeah, at one point, Hugh Morris and Chavo Guerrero, who were recently kicked out of the alliance, jump into the match, a la what's the group? Oh man, why'd I forget? Kai and Tai, a la Kai and Tai in the 2000 Royal Rumble, except they weren't continuously thrown out and ran back in. But they did run in, do a little beat down on some of the opponents. In the end, this is my opinions on battle royals. It's normal, because it's hard to keep the fans interested when for most of the match you're just throwing guys over the top rope. It
Yeah,
comes down to the end of the match. Can you get them invested enough to where as we're getting towards the end, are they going to cheer and get excited for that ending? And for this match, they did. As it got down to like the final four and maybe like the last couple of eliminations, fans started getting a little excited. They were cheering and they seemed interested. So I personally enjoyed this battle royal.
That's one,
It was
right?
pretty. Yes, test one. It was a decent battle royal. Now, for me, with Tess, I think they could have did a lot more with him having immunity for.
Tess
What
should
was
have been
that?
a bigger star than he was, in my opinion.
Maybe. But in terms of giving him immunity for a whole year, I really feel like they could have did so much more.
Yeah,
This guy is a big bully type dude, and he cannot get fired for up to a year. He should have been going around
just
for a whole damn year, just
be
bullying everybody, doing whatever the hell he wants,
not.
and then maybe
Hang on, you say bullying everybody, not everybody. He shouldn't have been bullying guys like Kane and Undertaker.
no, that's not what I mean. Not definitely not Kane and Undertaker. I mean just bullying guys he can bully and just doing whatever the hell he wants. Maybe fucking with Vince McMahon every once in a while. You know, like, hey, look, I can come into your office and yeah, kick that over, throw this across the room, and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then,
Hey, old man, I'm gonna take this cup
yeah.
of coffee, pour it all over you.
And then let's say maybe at WrestleMania 18, Vince McMahon says, "You want to mess with me? You want to you just because you got the immunity, you want to mess with me? Well, I got something for you. At WrestleMania 18, I'm gonna sick the dog on you. You, Undertaker, 1-on-1. Of
But there
course,
was Undertaker versus Ric Flair.
it was, but I'd be okay with sacrifice, and I love that match. But I'd be okay with sacrificing. I will sacrifice a great match for a great angle anytime. I will sacrifice a great match for a great angle.
Hey,
Um,
hey, hold on. Flair versus Taker had great angles too. Like
it did. It was a pretty good angle. They had the oh, who was it? I forgot who the fan was. I recently found out who the fan was. Oh, it was Paul London. Paul London was the guy who was sitting in the front row at the one of the Raws leading up to that WrestleMania, where Flair went to punch Undertaker. Undertaker ducked. Boom! He hit the fan. That fan was Paul London.
okay. See, I remember
Yeah.
the angle where like David Flair was in the
Yes,
was training, and
yes,
Undertaker just went in there and beat the piss out of him.
and that
Bloody.
is that is why Ric Flair, that is, wanted to punch Undertaker in that
Yeah,
situation.
yeah.
Yeah, that was part of it. That was great too. When Taker just beat the living shit out of David Flair, definitely.
That was
But I
awesome.
think what you could have had was just Vince McMahon. It seemed Mr. McMahon. It seems like the logical sense in this storyline would be, you know what? I'm gonna sick the dog on you. And
Yeah.
who's his dog? His dog is the Undertaker. He's the biggest
Hey,
motherfucker in the company.
hey, you want to mess with the bull? I bet mess with the bull.
He's
But
the
guess what?
horns, yeah.
Guess what? You gonna get the horns.
Yep. And maybe you can have look, if you win, you get to continue with this for all the way up until November. You can still have your immunity. But if my dog wins that immunity thing, I tear up that contract that says you got the immunity. That's it, no more.
And you out of here.
And yeah, and of course Undertaker ends up winning. So Tess ain't got that immunity no more.
Yeah, but
And
then just
maybe
fired because
I think you can do a. I think you can find a way out of that. May just have Vince say, I'm gonna be Mr. McMahon say, I'm gonna be a nice guy. Even with everything you did to me, I'm not gonna fire you, but I am gonna make you pay, and you're gonna pay by getting in the ring with the Undertaker. I think that's how you can get out of him getting fired.
all right, that's
Look, and if you lose, I tear up that contract. You no longer have immunity, and you
all right.
can't run around doing everything you've been doing these past few months. Which that would only be Survivor to WrestleMania. That's only November, December, January, February, March. It's only about 4 months.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I enjoyed that battle royal. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Next, this is what I wanted to talk about. So I at this point, at the end of the battle royal, I was looking to leave my room. So I put on Peacock and synced it up with the DVD. Went right to the spot, and as that match ends, Peacock goes to Shane McMahon and Booker T backstage, and then the DVD hits up this promo where it just shows some stuff that's happened in the last year, and it's got like a dubbed over theme song. You can tell that they used some other song,
Yeah.
and the song got edited out on the DVD. But for some reason, that whole segment, that whole video package, which was really cool, was taken off the network. It's not on the network. But meanwhile, it can't be musical rights because musical rights was edited on the DVD. They could have just showed the DVD version of it. It's a really cool video package showing like the last year essentially. There was the oldest highlight I think in the video package was like when Stephanie tried to hit Undertaker at Judgment Day 2000
Yeah.
after Undertaker had just made his return, and then Undertaker like looks back at her and she gets all scared. Like that was one thing that was in. I don't understand why that was edited. It was a really good, like 2 to 3 minute video package.
Yeah.
There was no reason for it to be edited. But anyway, Shane McMahon, Booker T backstage. Essentially, Booker T is saying he does not trust Stone Cold Steve Austin
Right.
because, of course, a couple of weeks before this, as you you mentioned earlier, they said there was going to be a mole in the alliance. Vince said that. Mr. McMahon said that. I should say said that there was going to be a mole in the alliance, and he said that mole is Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
So
Before we get to the next match, I just wanted to say the other participants in that battle royal were Bradshaw, Farouk, Lance Storm, Billy Kidman, Diamond Dallas Page, Albert, Taz, Perry Saturn, Raven, Chuck Palumbo, Crash Holly, Just Incredible, Sean Stasiak, Steven Richards, Tommy Dreamer, The Hurricane, Spike Dudley, Hugh Morris, Chavo Guerrero, and Funaki.
I forgot to mention too, when Taz was eliminated, Paul Heyman was like, "Yeah, you get that, you deserve that. That's what you get for turning on the alliance." And Taz gets up and is coming towards Heyman. Heyman cowers behind JR. It's hilarious. Paul Heyman and JR's commentary back in the invasion angle, which essentially, I mean, it didn't start in the invasion angle because Jerry Lawler got fired in February, I think. So it started like right before WCW went under, but it lasted until the night after Survivor Series. That's when Jerry Lawler comes back. But yeah, that time period, JR and Paul Heyman were absolutely phenomenal. They fed off each other perfectly. It was tremendous. And Paul Heyman was great on this show.
Underrated duo. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Paul Heyman was phenomenal on this show too. There was one point I forgot to mention too in the cage match when the Hardys were entering the match. JR mentioned that their dad, may he rest in peace, he passed away, I believe, a few years ago.
Damn.
Mentioned that he was in the arena watching the show and that he's a postman. JR always likes mentioning everybody's jobs. He says he's a postman. And Paul Heyman says, "Oh, he's a postman? I ain't got nothing bad to say about him." I'm telling you, Heyman was tremendous, man.
Next match was
Hold on. I didn't even finish the segment. And I'm the one who's leading here.
Oh, but go ahead.
And so Booker T says he doesn't trust Austin. He's telling this to Shane McMahon. And Shane tells Booker that Austin is the guy that's going to lead us to the promised land. You ain't got to worry about Austin. He ain't the mole. And again, I love that they did segments throughout this whole show, just building up that main event. I kind of wish they did this more on pay-per-views all the time. Like, make it feel like a weekly show. That's kind of what this felt like. This felt like a damn good episode of Raw and SmackDown. Now, people say that in a bad way normally when they say that about a pay-per-view, that it felt like a Raw or felt like a SmackDown. Now, I love weekly shows. Better than pay-per-views for me when they're good, when they have storylines on them. The weekly shows were what it was all about back then.
Right.
So whenever I say something a pay-per-view felt like a weekly show, I don't mean that in a knock. Because there was segments all over this show building up the main event, and I love that they did that. Mm-hmm. So now we got the 6-pack challenge for the women's title. So it's Trish, Jacqueline, Lita, Mighty Molly, Ivory in the match, and then there's a sixth person. And then when they get to the sixth person, jazz music hits. It says jazz on the Titantron, and Paul Heyman's like, Do you know who this is? Do you know who this is, JR? And Jerry's like, well, the ring announcer just told me it's Jazz. Because it was like right after I think it was Chimmel who was ring announcer for this match. Chimmel had just said, making her way to the ring, Jazz. And then like right after that, Heyman's like, do you know who this is? Do you know who this is? JR's like, well, he just told me it's Jazz.
Right. By the way, Jazz, the wrestler Jazz, incredibly underrated, in my opinion. She was a beast before being a beast in women's wrestling was a thing. She was absolutely tremendous. I'll go far as to say she should have been known as the ninth wonder of the world, not China. I'm sorry. No disrespect to China. May she rest in peace. But Jazz was far more dominant than China was. And I'm a huge fan of Jazz. She was great.
Yeah, me and you definitely not. I'm not as big a fan of Jazz as you are, but yeah, she definitely was solid during these during this time period.
She wasn't a Barbie doll, okay? She wasn't there for the look. She was there to beat people up. She had a great feud with Trish. I love that feud. I also love Trish.
I do too. I do too.
And it was fantastic. Those two feuds were awesome, and I love those feuds. I'm gonna go back and watch some of those matches after this show.
The Trish and Jazz feud was definitely phenomenal. I would take somebody like Trish, who's a great character, over somebody like Jazz, who just is there to beat everybody up.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion. I don't hate Jazz. She was solid.
Jazz for a short while had Steven Richards with her too. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. There was a time at WrestleMania 19, my favorite WrestleMania of all time, where well, actually, Steven Richards was rolling with Victoria, but Jazz was in the match. It was a triple threat match for the woman title, Trish, Jazz, Victoria, where Steven Richards goes to hit somebody with a chair, I think Trish, and Trish gets out of the way, boom, boom, right off the rope, goes the chair, off the scope.
Yeah.
Steven Richards was entertaining during the time where he was managing.
Go ahead on this match.
Yeah. For the match, it wasn't nothing too special. That was another short match for me. Those are the two short matches I mentioned. What happened?
Trish won her first of several women's championships here.
She did, yes.
And I believe this is the first women's champion to be crowned since who was it?
Oh, since what's her name threw the belt in the trash on Nitro? Alundra Blaze.
No.
Oh, no. Yeah, you're right. No, because Sable was women's champ during the Attitude Era.
Sable was, Stephanie was, Jacqueline was.
But no, you are right. The women's title went away for a little bit, and they brought it back here.
Yeah.
And Trish won it, of course. But yeah, for the match, honestly, I didn't really care for it. It felt too short for me. It was too short. This match and Regal and Tajiri were too short, in my opinion. Which I get it. That it's not like these were the two biggest matches of the show that everybody paid to see.
Well,
but you know,
they had to save time for the main event, which brings us to
right. No, not yet. Backstage, it's Vince McMahon. Oh, this was, of all the segments we had on this show, this was the best, flat out best. Vince McMahon rallying the troops. As you see, it's the thumbnail that I went with for this show. Vince is rallying the troops, and Mr. McMahon, I should say, is rallying the troops. He does a phenomenal job of hyping everything up, getting them ready like a coach getting his team ready. And yeah, that was phenomenal. Then we showed Team Alliance backstage, and they did their thing.
Shane was great too. I mean,
yeah,
it was great.
Shane, yes. So that's all that was each team, each leader of each team is hyping their fellow team up, getting ready for the main event, and the main event match of the night, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, Team Alliance versus Team WWF. And one thing I like, again, the finish of this match was done great too. They played off of Survivor Series a couple years ago with the Screwjob '97, where Kurt Angle was in the sharpshooter for The Rock. When have you ever seen somebody, The Rock, win a match with a sharpshooter? It's not his finish.
Yeah, no, I don't think I've ever seen him win that with that.
Yeah, and so Kurt Angle taps out.
Oh, wait. Survivor Series 98, right?
Maybe, but that was also a play on the screw job,
Yeah.
which they did that a lot. They played on the screw job a lot the few years after. But so yeah, they had, and I don't think Mankind didn't tap out. Again, that was a play on the screw job where Vince said ring the bell.
Either, but Brett didn't tap either.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It was a play on the screw job.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. When has The Rock ever got somebody to tap out to the sharpshooter?
I would say never.
Never. Kurt Angle taps out here. And of all people, the submission specialist, Kurt Angle, tapping out? Something ain't right here. Something fishy around here. So then we get to the final two, which I believe was Rock and Austin.
Of course.
Kurt Angle comes back. Yeah. Kurt Angle comes back. He's got WWF title in his hand. And he decks Austin with the belt. Now we're seeing who the mole is. Now it's not as fishy that Kurt Angle tapped out to that sharpshooter. Now we see why he tapped out to that sharpshooter, because he did it on purpose. He's the mole.
Yeah.
And there you go. Rock, after that belt shot, I think he might have hit a rock bottom. I'm not sure. But he gets the pinfall victory over Austin. Vince comes out and is like, yeah, he's on the stage. Yeah, I beat you, motherfucker.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. That was tremendous. I love how throughout the match they would go back and forth to each locker room. Like one guy gets eliminated from the alliance, they show the alliance, or maybe they would actually, what they would usually do was somebody gets eliminated. First they'll show maybe the one who got eliminated, his locker room, and then show the reaction of the cheering locker room. Yeah. But at some points in the match, they would actually do a split screen. It was later, as the match got late, they started doing, like you're seeing here, a split screen of me and you. They would show a split screen of the Alliance locker room and the WWE's locker room, which was pretty cool. I love that whole thing throughout the match where you see the reactions.
Right.
That was a cool little,
That was great. And then, of course, the next night on Raw, Stone Cold turns babyface. And McMahon awards Kurt Angle with the WWF Championship or whatever.
Heyman gets fired.
Flair debuts.
Yep.
I mean,
a phenomenal role. We should.
Series 2001 could be an episode of its own, quite frankly.
Yeah, and we will cover that show some point in the future. But yeah,
we're not going away. We're not going away anytime soon.
Oh, of course not. So overall ratings on this show.
Look, I love the show. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. I'll even say 9. That's how great it was.
Yeah, we are on the same point right there. 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
You said, though, that it's one of the greatest Survivor Series. That's where we disagree. It's funny, we have the same rating, but we disagree on one of the greats.
Okay, well.
Yeah.
I like those. I guess it wasn't one of the greatest, but it was really good. It was very solid.
See, some of my favorite Survivor Series, like I give Survivor Series 2002 10 out of 10. That's how good that show was. Where's some of the other Survivor Series? I'm trying to think of some other ones.
So my top 5 would probably be Survivor. I know in no particular order. My top 5 Survivor Series shows would be Survivor Series 01, Survivor Series 98, Survivor Series 2019, Survivor Series 2017, and Survivor Series 2000 and toss up between 2002 and 2005. I'm going to go with 2005 since we got 2002.
So for me, I'd probably put 98 as my second favorite behind 02.
Yeah.
98 was such a phenomenal storyline driven show.
Right. The matches may not have been great, but that's okay. The story was.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The storylines. I'm all for a storyline driven pay per view.
Yeah.
That's why I don't hate WrestleMania. Was it 14? 99. That was 14, right? No, it was 15 because 2000 was 16. Yeah. So I don't hate 15 as much as most do because that was another storyline driven pay per view.
Was that
So I was
the Authority against what was 2015?
no, I'm talking about WrestleMania
Oh,
15. Yeah. I was about to say Authority in 99? What?
no.
No, I'm saying that was another storyline driven pay per view. It definitely wasn't one of the best WrestleManias of all time. If you want to say that, I'll agree with you. But I love that it was storyline driven. And it's the same thing with Survivor Series. Survivor Series, if you can go with one pay per view storyline, you can't go against Survivor Series 98. That was done so perfectly. I'm trying to think of other Survivor Series. I will put 95 up there maybe too. 95 was tremendous. And this show would probably be top 5. Maybe it might miss top 5, might come close. It definitely will come close, but when you say best Survivor Series of all time, I think there are a couple other shows I'd put. First of all, Survivor Series '02 is number 1 for me. That's a 10 out of 10 show. 98 second, probably put 95 third. But yeah, this show definitely held its own.
Let us know in the comments down below. What do you rate Survivor Series 2001? What's your
Yep.
favorite Survivor Series of all time? Let us know in the comments down below. All that. Hey,
Yep.
Frank is
And
going to
now,
be back. Well, I don't know when Frank is going to be back on this channel, but he and Nat got a review coming up soon.
well, that's gonna be that was supposed to be yesterday. We pushed that back. That's gonna be, I think, early December. So we got that coming. But next week, I cannot wait for next week. We're going to cover Thanksgiving 2002, the very night I became a pro wrestling fan,
But that's going
and
to
we're
be
going to cover
not gonna. That's not going to.
right. It's going to air on Thanksgiving, though. We're gonna say that. Um, So first night I became a wrestling fan, Thanksgiving 2002. That SmackDown, we're going to review it. I cannot wait to do that. I don't think either of us well, we haven't discussed what show we're going to do after that. We'll definitely
We said, no,
get to that.
We said we are going to do a superstar piece.
Yeah, superstar piece. That's a superstar. That's a totally different show. That's not Retro Bros reviews. We've already done one of those with Brock Lesnar. We could do that and do Retro Bros reviews in the same
Okay.
week.
Well, the next superstar piece we're going to do is John Cena. Are you sure we didn't discuss the next show? Because you said SmackDown. I said what?
I don't think we discussed. We have not discussed which show we're gonna do next.
I guess I get the next.
And yeah, you get the next one. You get the next.
Let's go with, since it's going to be in December. Let's go with a December pay-per-view. Let's go with a pay-per-view that most people hated. We're going to go
Yeah,
with
you said.
Dismember.
Yeah, you said we were gonna cover that a long time ago. Around the same time, I said I wanted to.
December to December.
Yep.
I don't know what
All
your
right.
feelings are on it or not. Or I don't know.
I have not seen this show yet.
Okay, I haven't either. So this is going to be live. So when we give our review, hey, it's going to be off the cuff. Yo, but so this week we got that SmackDown. What day? November what?
It was November. It was the Thanksgiving of 2002. I think it was the 28th,
Okay.
November 28th, I believe.
Got you. So we got SmackDown November 28th, 2002 coming this week. Also, I'll be doing follow me on Twitch. I'm on Twitch at CJMania29 on Twitch. I do live.
Oh, I forgot to put this on Twitch too. We put last week's episode on Twitch. I forgot to do it. How do you save broadcasts? How do you save broadcasts on Twitch? Because our broadcast.
I'll show you. I can show you. I'll tell you how after.
Because I was looking at your channel to see if our broadcast was on there. It wasn't. It didn't save.
On Twitch?
Yeah, there's no on-demand broadcast.
Twitch. I don't know about that, but that's going to do it for this week's episode. I'm CJ. He's Frank. Follow us on Twitter at CJMania29 on Twitter. I'm sorry, at CJMania21 on Twitter. I gotta update my name. CJMania21 on Twitter. Follow Frank at what is it?
That's actually not only a Twitter account of mine. That's my YouTube handle at Room with a View 48. That's a play on one of my favorite episode titles of Angel, Room with a View. And the 48 is for Jacob DeGrom. If DeGrom signs elsewhere, I might have to change the number on that. But yeah, as of right now, that is my YouTube handle. And if you're a Buffyverse fan with Buffy Angel, you can follow me on Twitter with that handle. Room with a View 48. That's where I talk about Buffy,
And if
talk
you're
about
not,
Angel.
it's okay too. Yo,
Yeah.
I'm CJ. He's Frank. We out. Deuces.
Yep.